Several years ago, I was dating a guy, let's just call him Mark. And Mark was an interesting specimen. Don't have to go into the details, but here's the deal. I was on the phone with Mark. He said, come on over. His best friend was visiting from out of town. He said, come on over and say goodbye to Sam before he goes back to where he lived. And it was probably 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. I said, okay, sure, I'll stop by. Well, so we're on the phone and he hangs up. He goes, all right, bye, baby. And he didn't hang up the phone. And I heard what transpired after. I heard Sam talking in the background, and then I heard Mark specifically say, oh yeah, she requires that I call her nothing less than baby. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I didn't hear anything else after that. I hung up the phone. I went over to his house, had a chit chat for about 15 minutes or so. And Sam never came down. I guess he took a shower, went to bed, whatever, and didn't come say goodbye. But anyway, I said, hey, I heard you on the phone. You didn't hang up maybe when you thought you did. And I heard what you said, and I repeated what I heard him say. And he just said, huh? I said that? And I said, yeah, you said that. And I said, so what did Sam say to prompt you to say that? Because it's not true. And he said, but I do call you baby. And I said, well, sometimes you do, not very often. We hadn't been dating all that long. So, we weren't really using all these terms of endearment yet. And I said, but what would make you say that I require you to call me that? Because it's just not true. And then it just went back into this circular thing. But I do call you that. And I said, well, again, sometimes you call me that. But what made you say this? And he kept going on and on. He just refused to answer the question. And I called him out and I said, look, you are refusing to answer a question. I said, were you embarrassed? Did Sam give you a hard time? Did he tease you? And by the way, these are men that I think Sam was well into his 50s and Mark was nearing 50. And they were acting, this was really immature in my book. But what was even worse was the fact that he couldn't just say, oh yeah, sorry, he caught me off guard, or he was teasing me and I just said it, or whatever. He said, well, it wasn't meant to be derogatory. And I said, well, I get that, thank you, but it felt derogatory to me. But the bigger issue is it just isn't true. You fabricated that. And he really couldn't own it. And so I broke up with him on the spot. And then I had brought up something else that happened where we were out with some of his family. And his cousin looked at him and said, hey, come on, let's go smoke. And I was like, oh, you smoke? And he was caught red-handed. And he was like, well, once in a while, blah, blah, blah. He was lying. Anyway, long story short, he tried to hide that from me. And so when that happened and then the phone call thing happened, I was like, okay, you know what? This is not going to work. And I broke up with him on the spot. And then that was the end of that. We actually remained friends. We were friends before we dated. But long story short, I was like, if you're almost 50 years old and you can't turn to your friend and say, yeah, I called her baby, get over it. I can't date you because you're a pussy. Oh my God, talk about the pinnacle of inauthenticity, right? And I have to say, in my experience, and thank goodness I'm married now, I'm not out there, won't be out there, but I have to say, the majority of men I have met in my dating career are just like Mark. They're giant pussies. And they can't tell the truth and they can't just be themselves. Yet they want, they want to go grab the brass ring. I'm honest, right? I'm upfront, I'm authentic, but they can't be that themselves. And so there's a hallmark right there of a covert narcissist. And, back to that circular argument, I'm sitting there watching this interaction, right? Even though I'm in the interaction, I'm also observing it, right? I'm taking a step back. And I'm like, wow, this person is so good at this. He's probably been doing it since birth. And I had the displeasure of meeting his mom one time. And boy, she was an intense, overbearing figure. And I imagine that he probably had to do that with his mom growing up, or who knows where it started. But a lot of times, in my opinion, with covert narcissists, it starts early in life and it becomes just so second nature. But if you find yourself in a circular argument with someone like that, who can't just be upfront with you, be direct, own whatever it is they said, or just say, hey, I respectfully disagree, whatever the case, you don't need to be in a relationship with that person, whether that person is a friend, a coworker, a romantic partner. Sometimes, it's family too, and we have to really be careful of that. But those are people who are going to wear you out, bring you down, stress you out, make you feel like you're going nuts, make you angry, and just deplete you. They're not genuine people. And that is yet just another manifestation of a covert narcissist and how they're not authentic, real people. They're two-dimensional people. So when you come across this, I encourage you to just go, yeah, no, this circular argument thing doesn't work for me. If you can end the relationship, great. Or if you can say, you know what, I can't go forward with this until we get some professional help. That oftentimes, can make or break the relationship. And sometimes, people do respond to professional help. A lot of times they don't, but sometimes they do. So that's an option. If someone keeps doing this, by the way, I would also encourage you, if you can, record the conversation on your phone. You can play it back to them later. You can play it to your therapist, or play it for yourself so you can hear it. Like, this is really dysfunctional. I shouldn't be interacting with this person. I shouldn't be in a relationship with this person because this is crazy making. This is no fun. By the way, welcome to my channel. My name is Sparrow Spalding. I am a trauma recovery specialist. I talk a lot about narcissistic abuse and narcissistic abuse recovery on this channel. So if you're finding this helpful, please click below, like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be talking a lot more about these issues because, again, so many of us experience this. And, I talk about oftentimes covert narcissists as males, but they can also be females. And I've had several friends and many male clients who have experienced these kinds of things with their female partners. And it's just as crazy making, right? But yeah, returning to that circular argument, they're so afraid, right? They're so afraid. And by the way, in that argument with Mark, he said at one point, I feel attacked. And I said, you know what? You are being attacked because this is not okay. So if you feel attacked, that's okay. My goal is to get to the truth. And then he also said, I'm feeling judged right now. And I said, okay, there again. Yeah, because you're not telling the truth. This is not about me judging you. This is about you lying and me calling you out. And so, of course, and then it was really funny towards the end, he goes, maybe you shouldn't have come here tonight. And at that point, it was when I ended things. I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. But I was going to end it anyway. I was like, actually, I came to get my stuff. So long story short, he couldn't own it. And then he sideswiped it with the circular argument. And then he tried to say, well, you're attacking me and you're making me feel judged. And then when none of that worked, well, maybe you shouldn't be here. Do you see the point here? This is not a grown-up who can interact in an adult relationship. So yeah, why bother? Does this make sense, guys? Again, if this was helpful, please click below. As always, hug yourself from me, and we'll see you next time.